It's time now for a weekly check on international media coverage of events related to the Korean Peninsula. And as always, I have Kim Sung-hyun here in the studio. Sung-hyun, welcome.
Nice to see you.
Right, so I hear CNN has dedicated a separate banner on its homepage, that is, to Korea's Squid Game.
That's right, Sunny. So millions of people still across the world tuning into Squid Game, and CNN earlier this week put up its own separate banner for the Netflix series, introducing the latest news and facts about the hit show. So CNN on the 9th of October had selected 7 key topics, including the Nobel Peace Prize and COVID-19, arranging them as the main banners at the top of its homepage. One of the banners read Squid Game, which was solely dedicated to news related to the Netflix series, including a link to CNN's interview with Squid Game director Hwang Dong-hyuk. Now, in the interview, Hwang said that filming the show was so stressful that he ended up losing 6 teeth, but his hard work has paid off in a big way, with more than 111 million accounts having watched the series now since its debut, knocking Bridgerton off the top spot.
Right, it has paid off, of course. Meanwhile, Sung-hyun, Disney's Asia's head recently addressed the upcoming launch of Disney Plus here in the country.
Yes, so Disney Plus officially launches here in Korea on November 12th. And earlier this week, Luke Kang, president of the Walt Disney Company for the Asia-Pacific region, gave a keynote speech at the Asian Content and Film Market, the Busan International Film Festival, previewing the launch of the streaming service. The Hollywood Reporter reported that growth opportunities for the streaming market in Korea seem very clear and abundant. The article adds that there's a reason why global media and entertainment companies are keeping a close eye on Korea as one of their most promising markets. And Kang went on to elaborate that the sheer size, sophistication, and potential of many high-growth Asia-Pacific markets, including Korea, are not to be underestimated. The article also talks about Disney Plus, which will showcase content by Disney and its stable of brands, including Pixar and Marvel Entertainment, along with other original content and series produced in Korea. Now, Kang also explains that with the coronavirus pandemic transforming sectors and the demand for home entertainment growing as well, content produced within the Asia-Pacific has the opportunity to truly take off on streaming platforms. He indeed mentioned Squid Game, saying the evolution of Korean content into a global phenomenon is a great example of what is possible in this region. The Busan International Film Festival, meanwhile, is coming to a close today, this Friday, after a 10-day run.
Right, and that of course began last Wednesday.
That's correct.
Moving on, the New York Times, I understand, has run an article about the decline of dog meat consumption here in the country.
So about 2 weeks ago, if you recall, President Moon Jae-in raised the possibility of banning the consumption of dog meat here in the country. And a New York Times article recently talked about how reference to dog meat has long been used as an attack on Koreans overseas. The Times noted that most Koreans do not eat dog meat these days, referring to a September 2020 survey by Nielsen, which found that 84% of Koreans either have never eaten dog meat or do not intend to do so in the future. Lola Weber, a director of campaigns to end dog meat consumption for Humane Society International, mentions that most younger Koreans are appalled by the idea, even though some older Koreans still seek out the meat at specialized restaurants. The story emphasizes that dog eating is no longer part of the mainstream in Korea, and opposition to the practice has risen in the country, especially in the last few years.
Right, and Sung-hyun, lastly, do tell us a bit about foreign coverage of North Korea this week.
So all eyes basically were on North Korean leader Kim Jong-un this week, Sunny, who attended a weapons exhibition in Pyongyang on Monday, showcasing the regime's assortment of its latest military hardware. The BBC highlighted Kim's remarks that the weapons were for self-defense and not to start a war, and were necessary in the face of, quote, hostile policies, unquote, by the U.S. The Japan Times, meanwhile, mentioned that this week's exhibition has offered a hint of what to expect in the coming months, with analysts there saying Kim Jong-un is positioning his country to ride out both the pandemic and the term of the current U.S. administration, while at the same time trying to normalize weapons tests and cement his regime status as a de facto nuclear power.
All right, Sung, and as always then, thank you very much for the coverage.
Thank you for having me.